I think a lot of us try to have so much control over everything in our life, and what we don't realize is that it's damaging us, it's hurting us, and we need to stop. Everybody always wants to control every aspect of their life. Everybody wants to control their thoughts. Everybody wants to control what people think of them. Everybody wants to control what they think of themselves. You have to stop. You have to stop in your tracks already. Like, oh my gosh. Every single time, every time we try to control something in our life, it's the one reason as to why we can't control it. It's the one reason as to why we have zero control over ourselves. We always want to control our thoughts, right? Our thoughts are just concepts. Our thoughts are just like clouds. Our thoughts are up in the sky. And regardless of what we try to do with them, we have no control over them. They come in, they pass over, they go all around, but we have no control over them. As soon as you try to control a thought, it's gonna make you crazy because you're trying to control something that you have no control over. And a lot of the times we want to control things in our lives that we have no control over. And that's the problem. We don't just allow things to be, and we don't just allow things to just happen. And why don't we allow things to just happen? We don't allow things to just happen because we feel like if we have control over it, everything in our life is going to be okay. But regardless of if you have control over something or not, it doesn't exactly mean that it's going to be okay. It just means that you have control over it. So why do you need to control it? We always want to control every single thing in our life. A lot of the times I get stuck in my own head because I want to control what people think of me. I want to control how people feel about me. But let's just talk about that, right? What can we really do about what people think of us? What can we really do? Like, what can we really do? When you really think about what people think of you, it's projection. They project what goes on inside of them, and it's speculation. It's speculation based off what the person sees about you, what the person already knows about you. But the only person who truly knows you is you. So when you're trying to control what somebody thinks about you, you kind of have to realize that what they think of you doesn't really matter because the only person who knows you is you. And what people think about you, you can't control. Because at the end of the day, let's just say you have an opinion about something, or you have an opinion about somebody. If you have that opinion, regardless of what somebody tries to do about how you feel about your opinion, regardless of if somebody tries to change your opinion, regardless of if somebody tries to steer it in a different direction, if you have an opinion and you're stern on it, it's not going to change. Nobody else can control you. And if they can control you, then that says a lot about yourself. That says a lot about how you allow others to dictate how you feel. So if you're caring about how somebody else feels about you, you have to realize that regardless of how they feel about you, you are not going to be able to change how they feel about you. So trying to control it is going to make you a madman. Trying to control how somebody feels about you is going to make you crazy. You can't control how somebody feels about you because at the end of the day, how somebody feels about you is how they feel, is how they feel. It's how they feel about you. You have no control over it. So trying to control it is going to make you crazy. We spend so much time in our lives trying to control the things that we have zero control over. And what that does is it makes us crazy because we then have our entire life based off of thinking about what other people think. We then always live with fear in the back of our heads. We live with anxiety in the back of our heads. We start overthinking, and overthinking also happens by us trying to control everything in our life. We're trying to control the thoughts. We're trying to control the thoughts that come up in our head. And when we try to control these thoughts, it makes us crazy. And then that develops a loop of thoughts, which is overthinking. Every single time that we're trying to control something in our lives, it's up to us to stop it. When you're trying to control everything in your life, it makes you crazy. You need to just allow things to be. You need to just allow things to just happen the way that they happen. We always want things to happen the way that we want them to, but a lot of the times, the best things in life happen unexplained. A lot of the times, the best things in life happen without us really knowing how they're going to happen. So why are we trying to control it? I really don't know. I think a lot of us just feel like if we have control over things, they're going to work out a certain way and everything's going to be just fine. But sometimes when things work out how we want them to, it's really not how they were supposed to work out. And usually that makes us crazier because we expect things to work out a certain way. And then when they don't work out that way, or if they do work out that way, it's not how we expected them to work out, even though we expected them to be a certain way, if you get what I mean. So we have to realize that when we set these expectations on our life, when we set these expectations on how things should be, it puts way too much anxiety into our heads because we feel like everything is supposed to be a certain way, and we have to realize that not everything is going to be the way that you want it to be. Things do not work out the way that you want them to. Things work out the way that they're supposed to. If something didn't work out for you, you have to realize that it didn't work out because it wasn't supposed to work out, because your life was supposed to take a different trajectory. You're supposed to realize that, let me stop my language. I shouldn't say supposed to, but you can realize that when things don't work out, maybe it just wasn't supposed to work out. You don't know. You don't know. When you try to control every aspect of your life, it's going to make you crazy. You can't do it. You have to trust the universe. You have to trust the world, and you have to trust that things are working out regardless of if it seems like they are or not. And at the end of the day, when you try to put into your head and you try to conceptualize things working out a certain way, it doesn't mean that they're actually working out, and it doesn't mean that things are really going to happen the way that you want them to. Just because you said, oh, maybe, yeah, it's gonna happen this way, it's gonna happen this way, doesn't mean that it's gonna happen that way. You have to stop controlling things in your life. Stop controlling everything that's happening around you. You can't let your external environment affect your internal being. You can't let trying to control things in your life, and you can't let not having control over things in your life control you. Because if you do, it's gonna make you a madman. It's gonna make you crazy, and it's gonna make you just overthink in a way that it's not healthy. And you need to realize that things just happen the way that they happen. The world and things and the environment changes, and everything changes around you, but it doesn't mean that it has to change you. And just because things around you are changing, and just because people around you are changing, just because people might think something about you, just because your significant other might be bothering you, just because things around you get to you, or I should say, just because things around you are around you, doesn't mean that they have to get to you. Stop trying to control things in your life. Let go of control. As soon as you let go of control, and as soon as you let go of trying to control every aspect of your life, you're going to realize that life becomes a lot more smooth. Things become a lot easier. You're able to breathe a little bit more, because at the end of the day, you do not have control over everything. You just don't. If we had control over everything in our life would be perfect. And life is not perfect. Life's imperfections make it perfect within itself. So stop trying to control everything in your life. Stop trying to have so much control over what people think, and stop trying to have so much control over every aspect of your life. Some of the best things happen unplanned. And if we want to become the best version of ourselves, and if we want to be more confident in ourselves, and if we want to feel better about things in our life, we have to stop trying to control everything in it.